You're worthy to have all of somebody and just not a piece of them. So the Bible is very instrumental in telling you that.
I've been all over the world, and I've seen the finest wine, and I've seen the finest times, but all the pretty girls come from VA.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl B, and I'm back with another video. Hey y'all, hey. If this is your first time here on my channel, one, I want to say welcome, and two, I ask that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I promise you'll love it here. So much good content. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back, gang. We are locked in. Let's get it. And then if you are someone who watches my video but has yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. It's giving commitment issues, but we could work through that. I forgive you. Just subscribe to the channel. Thank you for joining me today on another video. Today's video may be a little bit controversial. There are a lot of women right now who are looking for good men. There are a lot of women who are just looking for a man, and this is specifically for the girls who are of the faith. Don't become impatient and waiting for the man that God has in store for you, where you end up in a relationship with anyone. There are certain things that we as women are supposed to add to a relationship, and there are things that men are supposed to add to the relationship. And I believe certain roles are just meant for men, certain roles are just meant for women. And sometimes out of desperation, one can kind of dismiss all the traits that God has called for us to have. And it goes both ways. Men could kind of dismiss the traits that God say make the best quality wife or woman, and there are women who will ignore the traits that God intended for men to have to be the best husband or partner that he can be. But I'm a woman, so I can only speak from a woman's perspective. But there was something that I read the other day that kind of stood out to me, and I wanted to share with you guys. So we're going to be reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 4, verse 1. And it says, "In the day, so few men will be left that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, 'Let us all marry you. We will provide our own food and clothing. Only let us take your name so we won't be mocked as old maids.'" Now, we've seen this time and time again. Some of us have probably lived it time and time again. And it's like you become so impatient, so desperate, seeking a partner, seeking love, that you are willing to do more than you were intended to do. Notice in this passage it says, "Let us all marry you. We will provide our own food and clothing." We will provide our own food and clothing. This goes to the argument that men are naturally supposed to be providers. Sole providers? Maybe not, but they are supposed to provide something to you when you are married. They are supposed to show you something of value when you are dating. And I feel there are some who take advantage of that. We know that there statistically is more women than there is men. We know that some men take advantage of this and have multiple women. And we know that there are some women who are okay with the men having multiple women because they run around saying, "We know what it is. We know what it is. Men are going to do it anyway." That's a lie. Not all men operate that way, but I think society has conditioned us to think that that is acceptable. I think society has conditioned us to believe that if you are like this, you're more susceptible to obtaining a man. And you may obtain a man, but not the man for you, not a man of God, not a man covered in God's cloth. So keep that in mind, especially as a woman of the faith. Men are supposed to provide. Women are supposed to be nurturers. We know this, and yet we still ignore this when it comes to dating in the moment, because we feel like these are things that we can change. We feel like these are things that we can teach someone to become, and honestly, it's either they have it or they don't, or either they take the initiative to heal it on their own, or they don't. But you can't make them do anything. And again, it could be a long, lonely ride for a little bit, but you have to have the faith that what is for you is for you. You have to kind of come to a point where you're comfortable in your singleness. You have to come to a point where you are assured in your singleness. You have to come to a point where you are healed in your singleness. Because if you're not healed and God does send a man of God to you, you're not going to know how to deal with that person. You're going to fumble that bag so hard, then you're going to be begging for another opportunity. So just make sure that you are healed within yourself. So when we think of the type of women we're supposed to be, everybody talks about Proverbs 31 women, how they're the Proverbs 31 women, and how they desire a Proverbs 31 woman. So in Proverbs 31, let's go to verse 10. It says, "Who can find virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She finds wool and flax and busily spins. She is like a merchant's ship, bringing her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plan the day's work for servant girls. She goes to inspect a field and buys it with her earnings. She plants a vineyard. She is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She makes sure her dealings are profitable. Her lamp burns late into the night. Her hands are busy spinning thread, her fingers twisting fiber. She extends a helping hand to the poor and opens her arms to the needy. She has no fear of winter for her household, for everyone has warm clothes. She makes her own bedspread. She dresses in fine linen and purple gowns. Her husband is well known at the city gates, where he sits with the other civic leaders. She makes belted linen garments and sashes to sell to the merchants. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. Her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. There are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all." That is a long list of characteristics that a woman of God should have. But let's understand this was a different time, so you don't have to be making your clothes from scratch. You can go out and buy it and make sure your family is well dressed. Make sure that they have all the comforters they need in the winter. Make sure they are fed. Speak with a kindness, a gentleness, a set of love. But one thing that kind of stood out to me is when you look at verse 11, it says her husband can trust her and she will greatly enrich his life. So you're adding something to the person you're with. You're not taking away consistently, just taking. You are adding something. And then in verse 28, it says her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. Yes, you should be nurturing in character, be gentle, kind, and all these things, but make sure you're doing it for a person who appreciates it, who praises you for it, who acknowledges it, not someone who just expects it and that's it and gives nothing in return. But on the flip side of that, we have to talk about what a husband or a man is called to do for his wife. So in terms of what a husband should look like, let's read Ephesians chapter 5 verse 25 through 33, where it says, "For husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her to make her holy and clean, washed by the cleansing of God's word. He did this to present her to himself as a glorious church without a spot or wrinkle or any other blemish. Instead, she will be holy and without fault. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as they love their own bodies. For a man who loves his wife actually shows love for himself. No one hates his own body but feeds and cares for it, just as Christ cares for the church, and we are members of his body. As the scripture says, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. This is a great mystery, but is an illustration of the way Christ and the church are one. So again I say, each man must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband." There we have clear instructions. Husbands are supposed to care for their wife as they would care for themselves. So when you are looking for your partner, always keep that in mind. They're supposed to want to treat you well. They're supposed to treat you how Christ treats those of his church. And a lot of the times we may overlook that because we are in a rush to be in a relationship. And it's like, no. You need to really look at the character of the person you're with, because that determines what your relationship is going to look like. It projects what your family will look like. It projects what will arise when you are together, when you come together, and you want to be as solid as possible. So yes, I would say be a woman of God searching for a man of God. Don't be a worldly woman looking for a man of God. And you can't be a man of the world looking for a woman of God, because you're not ready for that, and that's just going to create chaos, and it's going to damage people and just create a whole bunch of dysfunction between men and women like we already have, and it's going to continue to be that way. So take your time when it comes to dating people. Take your time getting to know who people truly are, before committing to them, before giving them your all. Don't share people, because sharing people ultimately leads you nowhere. You're connecting yourself to so many people. Allow people to show you that you are worthy of love. You're worthy to be loved. Man or woman, you are worthy to be loved. You're worthy to have all of somebody and just not a piece of them. So the Bible is very instrumental in telling you that. And I feel, again, culture makes us think that promiscuity is cool. It makes you think that promiscuity is normal and you have so much power when you're promiscuous, but in actuality it's no. It's you're giving up pieces of yourself just for a moment of satisfaction, and we're better than that. Also, don't be in a rush to have soul ties to other people. Like I said, get to know them in their entirety and make the decision based on that. But ladies of Christ, don't feel like you have to compete for a man or make him feel interested in you. Show up as yourself, and if he respects himself, he will respect you. And if he doesn't, just let him go. And men, same goes for you. But like I said, this video is strictly for my women, particularly my women in faith. I hope this is useful for you. If you find yourself in a season where you're feeling super lonely, get into the word even more. Even if you feel like you know your word, and you could recite it front ways, back ways, all these other ways. Continue to read it, because that's how you stay on track and how you don't let the enemy in. Continue to read your word. Continue to talk to those people you trust, and hear from other people, because I promise you, waiting and receiving what is meant for you is so much better than going after the things that's not for you. That would leave you depleted. That would leave you burned. That would leave you afraid to try again. So no, just wait, hold out. You'll be okay, I promise. And it'll all come together. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you all today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a little different for me. Felt a little weird sharing this message because I feel like it's not something everyone wants to hear, but it has to be said. So yeah, that's about it though. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I promise you'll love it here. You already do if you made it to the end of the video, obviously. But yeah, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you in my next video. Until next time, bye.
New York and MIA, then it's PG around my way, so I'm never had to stay away.